Alright guys, I've decided I'm gonna basically video log my progress through assembling and painting these new miniatures of mine, and I thought I'd show you what I've got so far. Just as an experiment, I decided to assemble one of the battle walkers. As you can see, there's some magnets in various places. Ooh. Now, I've never actually magnetized anything before. I've had these magnets here for a while, always with the intention of using them, but never got around to using them, and I thought this would be a perfect project to use them on. So I've put magnets in all the other components. There's the lower torso, so you can position these however you want. And I've magnetized the weapons as well, as you can see, which is very cool. Means you can pose them. I mean, I put that magnet in the top there because that's also the connector for the dropship, so that these can be carried underneath the dropship if I put a magnet under there as well. It's very cool. Like the tanks have them as well, so I would recommend putting a magnet in. There's actually a tiny hole at the top, as you'll see in a bit when I do a second one, which guides the drill bit really nice for that job. I haven't attached the legs, they're down here, because they're like ball and socket things, and I'd rather paint them separate and then glue them in at the end. So I'll put this down here for now, and this pile down here. We're going to go through and clean them up. Now, what I found with the other one I did is that this resin takes really well to clean up. You know, it's not massively tough, so it's easy to file and clip through and stuff like that. So if I just, there's like a tiny bit of a nub there. Get this all sand and sponge I've got, and I'll clean this up nicely. If you haven't got these, you can use a file as well. They work just as well. Just got to be careful. You don't want to go overboard. You want to, do it a little bit. Have a look, see how it's going. Be nice if my webcam would focus here. Well, hopefully you can see what I'm doing, even if it is a bit blurry. Yeah, pretty much taking care of this now. There's I don't know if you can see this. Get it to focus. See that little, see that bubble there? Now what's interesting is I'm not sure if that's well, according to the pictures I'm looking at, that isn't meant to be there, but that was also present on my my other battle walker, so perhaps it's just a highly likely place. That's the only air bubble blemish I've seen, and a tiny bit of a plastic putty will sort that out. Just look around the model. There's a couple of spots where there's a bit of flashing, and it's really easy to get rid of. And the actual mold lines are pretty minimal. They're along like there's a mold line that goes along that edge, so it's in a really cool, a very good strategic place. Dead easy to get rid of, or not even noticeable really, because it's right on the edge. It's good design there on the sculpts and the way they've been molded. So that's pretty much it. This, looking around, I can't really see any other problems with this. It's a really nice cast. And if I forgot to mention in the last video, some people mentioned in the comments that these miniatures are quite high cost really for what you get compared to other manufacturers, and it might put some people off, but as I was saying in the comments, I don't mind paying the high price if the quality stays like this, because other you know, starter sets for other games that might cost half as much as this, you know, it's very hit and miss, I've noticed, and I've been stung with like so much extra work you have to do just to get the miniatures into a state where you can even begin assembling and painting them. It seems hardly worth the effort, and if you could pay a bit more and not have to worry about all that extra work, then I think that might make up for it. That's just my opinion. I wonder if you might get a much better deal if you go for a much bigger army set. I mean, this is the absolute rock bottom of the army sets that you can get, so maybe my savings aren't as good as they could be if I'd you know, dived in there on the deep end and got a much bigger set. There's a tiny bit of flashing in these creases, so a knife or something should be able to take care of this. I'm just using this seam scraper tool. I do apologise if the webcam keeps blurring out. I'll try. It's probably because it keeps trying to focus on this background, to be honest. Maybe that'll help. We'll see. Oops, sorry, out of frame there. There we go. That's easy. Right. When clipping these off, just be careful you don't clip the actual part, and you are only clipping off the nub. It's better to have some nub remain than to have, you know, to accidentally cut into the model, which would be really difficult to fix afterwards. I mean, you can do it, but you know, you shouldn't have to. See, there's a tiny bit of flashing. You see there? You know, just doing that with this stick gets rid of it. There we go. Have it's done. We've got a weapon left. Tell you what, where's my file? There it is. I'm just going to flatten off this end. Now there's a bit you can see there, the sculpt, the detail gets a bit lost, and because of the nature of the surface, all these ridges, it's very difficult to, if you try and sand away that and clean it up, you'll end up just getting rid of all that detail. It'll be very difficult to put back in, but to be honest, it's very small. So I'm just going to leave it. I'm not going to try and clean that up too much. I'm just going to have to accept that it's there. But as I said, it's only a tiny part of the hole, and I guess if people really wanted to, they could get in there with a knife and put the grooves back in. There we go. So I'm pretty happy with this. Right, the legs. I mean, I'm hardly even pressing the clippers here, it just sort of just melts through it really. And all you have to do is clean up that little bit at the top, which unfortunately you lose a little bit of detail there as well, as you can see. That can't be helped really, but this is going to be shoved right underneath the robot, very close to the torso, so you're not going to be able to see that part of the leg anyway, so not a problem. There's a bit of it, there's a mould line across the top there. That's what I'm trying to just sand out a bit without, I don't want to accidentally sand away the panel lines, but I kind of have there a little bit. Let's see if we can carefully put them back in. That's better. Between the feet there's quite a bit of flashing, but again, just get a knife in there or something thin and pointy. Take care of that, no problem. But yeah, they generally look pretty cool. There's really no major defects, and I hope that remains throughout the whole range of miniatures. I said I've only got these, so I don't know what the sculpts are like for the others. But for anything like this, they'll be really easy to prepare, which is kind of cool. It means you can probably sit down and get this whole thing assembled pretty quickly. I mean, I'm taking my time a bit here, thinking about what I'm doing a bit, and talking to you guys. I mean, you don't even have to go this far really. Just chalk it up to battle damage, the few bits of flash or whatever that's left. If you're really impatient, you just clip the where it is on the nub, clip off the screw, get rid of the nub, you're pretty much done. Cool. That's all the parts. So those are prepared, ready for the next step, which is where we glue some magnets with super glue. Now, what I found is these weapons attach onto here, and they're meant to sit flush. Now with the first one I did, well, what I did is I clipped off a bit of the nub, replaced it with a magnet, and just put a magnet in the other half. And obviously I screwed up a bit because that meant that it's not sitting quite so flush. As you can see, there's like a millimeter gap between the gun and the torso. So let's not make that mistake again. So the way I'm going to do it is I'm literally going to clip off 90% of this nub. There's just enough remain so I know where to glue the magnet, but hopefully the magnet will now replace that bit of the nub I've just cut off, and when I can stick a magnet in the weapon, and that should work. And if not, I can just drill into the weapon a bit so the magnet can get a bit deeper in there. So I've done that. Next, you've got to get your magnets. Now you've got to make sure you don't glue these the wrong way. What I want to do is make all this consistent, so I'm going to take the weapon off the other one, find out which way the magnets want to stick, so I know how to glue. You know, I should be gluing the magnets like this, so that this weapon is interchangeable. So I'm going to get me super glue. Be very careful. You only need a tiny bit, like that. If you can see. It's a bit bright, I'm afraid. But there's a blob of super glue on the end there. Then I'm going to get this stack of magnets and very carefully join them together. Just hold it there until the super glue sets. Now it doesn't quite matter if you don't line it up perfectly. It'll still do its job. Now if you wanted to, you can use something like this. Spray kicker. I'll just instantly set the super glue. There you go. So now you should be able to detach the magnets like so. That's pretty cool. So I'll take this other gun. Now if I put this in there, okay, the way that feels, so I need to drill into this. So it feels like this hole isn't big. Yeah, perhaps I should have clipped the hole nub off and drill a hole into the torso, but instead I'll drill a hole into this. So I've got the drill bit already sorted, 2mm drill bit for these magnets, which is a perfect size for these holes. So I was lucky, I guess, that I just so happened to have the right size magnet. And just be careful when you do this, if you do this, you do not want to drill through the other side of the gun. So do it in little steps. Because you'll end up having a horrible mess if you do drill through the other side. I think that should probably do it. Maybe a bit further. Now the thing is, because these are 2mm magnets, they'll fit really snug into these gaps, so you almost don't even have to glue it. So I'm just gonna push the magnets in as hard as I can. Again, I'm gonna take the magnets off this, making sure I keep the right orientation, and I'm just gonna try and push these in. There you go. You can see in there. That's really snug. That is not coming out. Just push it in a bit further. Now what you could do is get some thin super glue, which I have. I was using the medium one before. Use thin super glue and sort of very carefully run it in there. But when I did that before, it beaded up a lot on the surface, and then I had to re-drill into it to sort of get rid of it. So I'm not going to do that this time. Let's see how this... That's perfect. That is absolutely flush and strong enough. Yeah, that's brilliant. I'm happy with that. Actually, if you look, it's not quite. It should be like that, not like this. So that might be to do with how the magnet. Maybe the magnet can be pushed in a bit more. I'll try. Well, it'll do. So there, try again with the other side. Again, I want to make sure I'm being consistent with my magnet use so that weapons and what have you are interchangeable. Put a tiny blob of super glue on the top. It's probably a little bit too much. Just wick it up a bit with some kitchen roll. Right, is that stuck? Right, I've stuck it, but there's a bit too much super glue, so again I'm just going to go around, just wick up the excess before spraying with this, because if I hadn't done that, it would have hardened that little that excess bit of super glue, and it wouldn't have made the weapon sit flush. There we go. So if we check the weapon again, it's going to be the same thing. I'm going to have to drill into this part. Oh, going to have to be very careful here. There's not a lot of room to drill into this part. So hopefully if I do drill a bit too far, hopefully I'll feel it just about to go through on my thumb, and I'll know when to stop. Well, I'm holding that up to the light and I can almost see through it, so I'm just gonna no, I'm not gonna risk it. That's gonna be as good as it's gonna get. I think with my other walkers I'll have to do it the other way, drill into the torso. It would help if I get the right magnets here, so making sure I pick the right orientation for the magnets. Just gonna shove these in. And just push. That's it. There we have it. There you go, 2 magnetised weapons. It's a lot better than the last one, they're a bit more flush. So now we've done them, and hopefully, if that was all correct, I should be able to put the same weapons on the other. Yep. Brilliant. So you never know, maybe being able to interchange weapons might be a good thing, I don't know. I'm not sure how much customization there is. Anyway, let's put the weapons with their original pairs. Now, let's drill the top. See, there's already a hole there, which is perfect. Nice pilot hole. Not far enough yet. A little bit further. Yeah, a tad bit further than that. That'll do it. Now this one I am going to put a tiny bit of glue in. Ooh, right. Before I forget, let's make sure I get the magnets the right way round. Now, I just need to push this in. squeezed a bit of the super glue out, so it's trying to wick that up. Didn't quite go as well as the other one. But it'll work. Need to drill the bottom. For this it's probably a good idea to make a pilot hole yourself and as close in the centre as possible. Like so, see that? Dug in really easy. So be very careful with this one, because if you slip you'll really screw this up. Perfect. Centered hole. Tiny bit of glue. Oop. Probably a bit too much glue. Again, make sure that I follow the same convention that I've set in the first part. Right. Brilliant. So there you go, that's the torso done with the majority of the magnets. Just have to do the lower torso here, and then we're done. At least with the sub-assemblies for this. I'll be painting all these components separate. I think that might be easier in the long run, especially because I'll be doing a lot of painting by an airbrush, and because these are all magnetized and removable, you need to be able to. I'm gonna have to paint it all over. Whereas if I'd glued it together, some of the spaces will be hard to see, and so you wouldn't really need to paint them. A bit further. Tiny bit of glue. Make sure I get the magnets the right way. I might not have made that hole deep enough. Oh well. Either that or the magnet's already stuck. I don't think it'll be a problem. Let's try it out. No, that's fine. Ah, there we go. Just push them together on that. Much easier. Brilliant. So there we go. That's two of these War Walkers assembled-ish. Well, by assembled, I've not actually glued together any single part. Just sorted out the magnets for them. I will do another video soon about some of the other. I'll do a video for each type of miniature, I think. So I'll do tanks next, then probably infantry, and then finish on a high with the dropships themselves. And then I'll get to actually see if the what it looks like carrying these two walkers. So yeah, I'll get that other video out pretty soon. I'll probably just record another one after this. But until then, take care, guys. If you've got any comments or questions, just put them in the down below, and I'll see if I can answer them. Bye bye.